Now, somebody I know because he's part of the board of the community team over at Huggle Pets in the community is Gavin Dell. We have chatted in the past in real life. However, he joins me now on the line to tell me a bit about his current projects with work. This is Lead with Story, and Gavin is on the line now. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Jason?
All good here. So, tell me a bit about the way in which you came to start Lead with Story.
A bit of a backstory about myself. I've done a number of things such as supply chain and logistics management, as well as revenue management. And one of the things that I found quite difficult was that when I was going into a board meeting, I would have all of the facts and the data behind me to say this will be a great project. However, I would find that sometimes the project would fall flat and the whole presentation. So what I then did, I actually went to university to do my master's in data analytics and project management. And then I found I almost fell in love with storytelling and how to tell a story with data. And then when I went back into the business, I was then able to structure my presentations in a way that was backed up by data, but also would be able to engage my audience. And I just realized at that point that I was really onto something. I set up like a course that I could teach with some of my colleagues. I ended up teaching that to about 500 of my colleagues across Europe. And then I thought, wow, I need to make this into a business and see who else I can help.
Yeah, so when it comes down to it, I mean, businesses are driven by data, whether it's the MRP, our min reports on stock, whether you're looking at yeah, the way in which you're trying to forecast, whether it be manpower, bolts, or anything else that you could be trying to use. In particular, when you're in a world of just in time, as the Midlands have been so often in its motor manufacturing past and still in some places to this day. So, we've got a world which is governed by numbers, and it's turning those numbers into something which is real life and just not a case of another glitch on a printout report that no one's really read properly.
Exactly. And I think that's almost part of the problem is that our business today, because a lot of companies feel overwhelmed with data, they have access to data, but the question then is, what do we do with that data? What are those data insights telling us, and how can we use that to grow our business? And that's kind of where I come in with the services that I offer to be able to say, okay, let's first of all understand the data. Let's then interpret the data, and then let's look at what are some of those projects that we can put forward in order to move the business forward.
Yeah, because many people may well be buying the likes of Power BI as part of their Office package.
Exactly.
They're looking at all sorts of different intelligence ways of getting snapshots of their business in time. But if it's just sitting there and you don't even know how to extract a report, you can't build on what you've done before to make the future brighter.
That's exactly right, Jason. So I find, especially with the Power BI reports and dashboards, yes, the data is there, but again, what do we do with it? And so I find that a lot of the people that I speak to, yes, they have the platforms such as Power BI, Google Looker Studios, but they're still not knowing how they can use that data to kind of empower them to make data-driven decisions.
Yeah, and data mining in itself, things like Power Automate can take your databases and report back to you. And not only that, tell you what's not being used as well as what is being used.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, when I speak to a lot of the people that are in the data science world, so they are the ones that are mining the data. Again, the challenge then is they understand the data, but then to be able to communicate it in an engaging way that can allow their leadership teams to be able to make those decisions based on what they've been informed on. That's a challenge in itself. And so we try and just bridge the gap between, I like to call it bridge the gap between the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. So between
Mhm.
logic and data versus that emotion and that feeling that drives action.
And I've worked on projects in the past where, whether it be something like installing a new software system and in a business, and data warehouse management, these sort of things, you sometimes have to have a go-between in some way or form between maybe somebody who is working with the data all the time and lives and breathes it, and the director who's got to make decisions based on it. And yes, there are more automated tools to allow you to do that these days, but unless you set them up, unless you know what you're looking for, and unless you've got a Gavin Dell to come in there and help you find that, then you're really going to struggle. And it's these sort of mechanics that make a business work. And you're almost turning up with a full toolkit and then leaving behind a machine which is going to work for people.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
What is the next move? If somebody is looking at their business and thinking, I don't know where I'm going, how do you give them almost the sat nav to their data?
So first of all, what I do is I sit down with them. We'll have a conversation. I like to put it, I've got like a 7-step storytelling framework that I use within internally at the business, which I also teach in workshops. And it's all about, first of all, for me, the customer is always the hero of this story, right? So it's really understanding what's their background, what is it that they're doing in their business currently. And then once I understand that, then it's about the next step in terms of really being able to understand what is it their needs that they want. So what is it the transition that they're looking to get through? What is it that they want to take out of their data? And then I just couple that with then what I do. So I do the data analytics side of things, the consultancy side, and then as well being able to do that project management. So when it comes from being able to have a clear plan of actions in terms of how we can then utilize the data to get the transformation. And then for me, it's that, again, when it comes to storytelling, it's that what is that challenge or that problem that you're trying to overcome? Because in every story, there's conflict. So without conflict, there isn't a story. And so it's really just trying to define with the client exactly what it is that they're trying to overcome, so that they can then you fully utilize their data. And then we basically put a roadmap or a plan together in terms of, right, let's take a look at your data. It might be, just to give you one example, some of the clients that I work with are just having data spreadsheets, such as an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, and they've got one in the operations that's been run there. They've got one in the finance. They've got one in the sales. However, they're all independent, so all of the departments are working in silos. So one of the first things I'd do is consolidate that data. I'd make sure then that it's in a visual. So we do the data visualization. And then once we've got it into a format that everyone understands in the organization, then what we then do is look at identifying those data insights and then supporting the business that way to be able to look at their trend analysis and as well be able to understand if there was to make any tweaks to their business, how would that affect the data and ultimately how it would affect their performance results.
So the story could be anything from a full novelization through to just a graphic novel, whatever that business needs. And you're then also maybe you've got a GUI interface on what were previously streams of numbers, and it can turn into a river or even a torrent of great business acumen, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do people go to find out more about your way of working to help their way of working?
So you can visit my website, which is www.leadwithstory.co.uk. Also, they can find me on LinkedIn. So I'm quite active on LinkedIn. So if you just look for Gavin Dell, then I'll be there. You'll be able to have a look at some of the posts or see how I engage with you. So feel free to connect with me there. Or just feel free to drop me an email at gavin.dell@leadwithstory.co.uk.
Gavin Dell from Bleed Story. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jason.